In today's video, I would like to have a closer look at what it needs to have a winner's mindset. Welcome to today's video. My name is Steven and I help athletes become mentally strong and successful. One absolute crucial point is consistency. So if you want to be successful over the long run or in the long run, it's incredibly important that you are consistent in what you are doing. So it's not like some athletes, what they do, they practice maybe once or twice a week and then they practice for many hours and they feel completely exhausted the next day, and maybe they have sore muscles and everything and they can't practice for the next 2 or 3 days. It's much better, and also it's gonna have a bigger impact on your performance in the long run if you divide these, let's say, longer training practice sessions in small bits and pieces, but do this on a daily basis. So consistency on a daily basis is incredibly important. Just imagine you are a golf pro or a golf player and want to be a pro at some point. And you go on the driving range and you do some putting and you play some rounds. But you do this maybe twice a week and you do this for 6 hours. So maybe, let's say on the driving range you hit 100 balls. But let's say you do this now on a daily basis, additionally to your normal training, let's say. So if you have a couple of training sessions per week, let's say you have 3 training sessions, and each time you go to the golf course, you practice yourself additionally and do maybe 20 additional balls per day. So let's say you do this 5 days a week, you would have 20 per day, so that would be 5 days per week. Let's say you have 1 day maybe it's tournament, 1 day you have a day off. That's also very important, of course. When you also would like to have a closer look at recovery, check out this video up here and you will find out more about recovery and how important it is actually if you want to improve and stay motivated in the long term. So let's come back to this example with a golf player who wants to be more consistent in his practice sessions. So he says, okay, additionally to my normal program, I add 100 balls per week. And I split this up in 5 days. So that would mean 20 per day. So, and that keeps him going, and he's gonna have at the end of the year, if you add this up, maybe 100 per week. That's 5,000, let's say, when we say 50 weeks per year. I mean, we also have a few days off, hopefully. We should do at least. And let's say, just as an example, 5,000 additional balls that he hit on the driving range or when putting or whatever he wants to focus on in his practice routine. So, and that's 5,000 more, maybe even in comparison to his competitors, and that makes in the long run a huge difference if you calculate this or add this up to maybe a couple of years, or even, let's say, you make it a bigger number, so it's not 100 per week that you want to do additionally, maybe it's 200, and then you would have by 50 weeks that would be 10,000 more. And I think this should be actually clear to all of us that that's gonna make a huge difference in our level, actually the level that we are able to play, and also in comparison probably to our opponents. We're gonna be the better player in the long run. The second thing that's super important if you want to have a winner's mindset is the beginner's mindset. So what does that mean actually, beginner's mindset? Let's have a look at some athletes in my sports, for example. Let's have a look at Novak Djokovic or Rafael Nadal or Roger Federer. So why were they so good over such a long time actually? So it was not just a few years, but it was maybe even a decade or 2 decades. And that's pretty simple actually to explain in some way, because what they managed to do is that they went to the training session. It was not like they had this mindset of I'm number one in the world. I won everything you can imagine actually in my sport. I know everything about the sport. Nobody can give me any more advice because I'm the best player. So, and that's probably, I would assume, one of their biggest strengths actually that they had or still have during their career. They went to the training and they got some input from their coaches, and they had this mindset of the beginner. So maybe they hit 1 million forehands and backhands and serves, but they went to the training with a mindset of, okay, this is my first serve, this is my first forehand and backhand ever in some way, and let's see what I still can improve. So what do I get? What's the input that I get from my coaches? What's that I can reflect on? What do I identify? Maybe I could still potentially improve on, and that makes the huge difference in comparison to, let's say, good athletes. And that's why they are the best, because they have this, they had this beginner's mindset where they just wanted to identify and see, find out more about what they still can improve, even in a rather high age as an athlete, maybe in the mid-30s. Or look at Djokovic now, I think he's 38 now. And what did he do? He engaged a new coach with Andy Murray. And you would think maybe, I mean, why does Djokovic need a new coach now? Because he thinks he can still get something out of this collaboration with Andy Murray. And that's it, what actually makes the difference. One more crucial thing that's so important when you want to create a winner's mindset is focus on the process and not on the outcome. So not on the result itself. You should have, of course, a vision where you want to get to, and you need to set some targets on the way to the vision. But it's important that when you go to the training ground each day, that you don't have this vision and these targets in your mind all the time, because it's gonna hold you back from actually performing and being in the moment. And you can only perform at your best. It doesn't matter if it's in training or in a competition, when you're focused on the moment. So you need to be very mindful and focus, let's say, think from point to point or from game to game, but don't think don't think too much about the outcome, the potential outcome, because because this is gonna have a negative impact on your mindset. You will put a high pressure on yourself. You will create maybe even some anxiety or nervousness, and that's what we definitely want to avoid if we want to be successful in our sports. So try to focus on the process more than the outcome. That's a very, very important point you should bear in mind when you go to the training ground and to your competitions in the future. What's also very important if you want to create a winner's mindset is that you reflect on yourself regularly. So ideally, maybe you buy a book, a notebook, where you can write by hand in it and reflect on your training sessions, reflect on your competitions, your matches, and ask yourself, when writing your self-reflection, ask yourself, what have I done really well today during training? And what is it that I could have done better maybe? So you're gonna create over time, you're gonna create your winner's mindset, and you're gonna be your own coach on top. I mean, you have your coaches around you, but you're gonna be your own coach additionally, and that's gonna boost your performance. That's gonna help you boost your performance because you're not depending only on the input from outside, what you still can improve or what needs to be done differently in your, maybe in your technique or in your tactics. But if you find out what you can improve in your game or in your performance, that's even better, and it's gonna have a double effect actually on your performance in the long run. So I wish you all the best now in building up your winner's mindset, and let me know in the comments please how it works for you, these 4 tips. And if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with me via the Tidycal link also in the video description. I'd be happy to get to know you and find out a bit more about your mental situation and your mental health and strength. I'd be very happy to meet you, and let's see, maybe I can support you also on your mental health and your winner's mindset in the long run. If you like the content, feel free to hit the like button, share the content with others that might be interested, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet, and see you in one of my next videos hopefully. Have a great day and all the best with your winner's mindset. Bye.